Today on the Rockbridge Report, the United States Capitol took precautions against security threats this morning. We'll tell you what group posed the potential threat and why it surfaced on March 4th. And in Virginia, vaccine rollout continues, while Texas and Mississippi lift mask mandates. We'll tell you just how long the new shipment of doses will last. After a long string of wet days in Rockbridge, the sun is finally coming out. Andrew Arnold will tell you how long it intends to stick around. And later, we introduce you to a new face coming to Southern Virginia University. There's a chance you've seen or heard him before. All that and more next on the Rockbridge Report.
Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news from Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Welcome to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Carly Snyder. Later, I'll be joined by Lily Mott. Andrew Arnold will bring you the weather, and Sean Lee will give you the latest in sports. The U.S. House of Representatives canceled its session today amid new threats of a potential attack on the Capitol complex. John Lawrence reports.
Capitol Hill is on high alert.
The Capitol is fortified like a compound.
As the FBI and Department of Homeland Security are warning about increased chatter surrounding potential plots of another attack. Capitol Police increasing security in response.
Let me be clear that there is a great deal of enhanced security around the Capitol. We have fences. There are still National Guards troops. There's a level of security that I hope and pray will not have to continue much longer.
The threat comes less than 2 months after rioters stormed the Capitol complex and threatened the lives of lawmakers. And as congressional hearings continue into exactly what went wrong that day.
I was frustrated.
Testimony Wednesday revealing it took more than 3 hours for Army leaders to authorize the deployment of the National Guard to assist Capitol and D.C. police.
The Army senior leaders did not think that it looked good, it would be a good optic. They further stated that it could incite the crowd.
The new threat? Online chatter by extremists about possible plots against the Capitol and conspiracy theories that former President Donald Trump will be inaugurated on March 4th.
These types of threats that QAnon continues to inspire impede us from doing the work we have to do on COVID, on voting rights, on racial justice.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
COVID vaccination efforts are on the rise in Virginia. Governor Ralph Northam toured a vaccination site in Norfolk this week to mark what he says is progress.
We're proud in Virginia. We've now vaccinated over 2 million Virginians. As you know, our population in Virginia is about 8.5 million. So our numbers of COVID cases are coming down. Our vaccinations are going up. So we feel like we're in a good situation here in Virginia.
The state is scheduled to receive 69,000 doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine this week. Those shots are expected to last through next Friday. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine was approved by the Federal Food and Drug Administration over the weekend and is the third kind of inoculation to become available in the United States. The governors of Texas and Mississippi are not budging on their plans to end pandemic restrictions, despite criticism from top health officials and President Biden. CNN Martin Savage reports.
In less than a week, the state of Texas will stop requiring masks, and businesses can operate without any restrictions, going against the advice of health experts.
Now is not the time to release all restrictions. Every individual is empowered to do the right thing here, regardless of what the states decide.
The rule changes frustrating some local leaders.
It's going to lead to a lot of chaos, confusion, and conflict.
And healthcare workers in Texas fearful of another dangerous surge.
To say that I'm petrified doesn't even really explain the gravity and the depth of my feelings.
From the Oval Office, President Joe Biden calling it a big mistake for states to lift restrictions.
The last thing we need is the Neanderthal thinking that in the meantime everything's fine, take off your mask, forget it. It still matters.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott's office responding to Biden's criticism, writing in a statement, "It's clear from the recoveries, the vaccinations, the reduced hospitalizations, and safe practices that Texans are using that state mandates are no longer needed. We must now do more to restore livelihoods and normalcy for Texans." And Mississippi's governor also pushing back, just hours before the state's mask mandate and business capacity limits expired last night.
Given how long ago Mr. Biden was elected to the U.S. Congress, he certainly should know how Neanderthals think. Mississippians can make their own decisions. They can assess their risk.
But according to Dr. Anthony Fauci,
from a public health standpoint, is ill-advised. You're only going to set yourself back if you just completely push aside the public health guidelines.
And health experts say it's key to wait for more people to get vaccinated and have a lower number of new coronavirus cases before removing pandemic restrictions. A reality seemingly in reach as the Johnson & Johnson coronavirus vaccine continues to arrive across the country.
I would just plead with people, just give it another month or two. Let us get as many people vaccinated. Let's control this new variant before we start to relax on mask wearing and these other measures.
The CDC is expected to release guidance soon, outlining safe activities for those who are fully vaccinated. The agency will continue to ask people to limit small gatherings inside their homes with other fully vaccinated individuals, as well as wearing masks and maintaining distance in public. The pandemic has not stopped business owners from opening new storefronts in downtown Lexington, including a new Pilates studio, a historical bookstore, and a clothing boutique. Clover Boutique, a store selling women and men's apparel and accessories, will open on St. Patrick's Day. Owner Catherine McSwain said she's optimistic the boutique will thrive despite economic difficulties of the pandemic. Historian Frank Salaznick said his bookstore opening is scheduled for April. Electric Pilates, a new studio opening on West Nelson Street, will open later this spring. Check out rockbridgereport.wlu.edu to learn more. Lexington City Council members will debate a new street renaming policy at their virtual meeting tonight. The policy would allow the renaming of streets that honor the Confederacy or slaveholders, including Jackson and Lee Avenues. But City Council is divided over who should make that decision. The current proposal allows street residents to take the lead in making the change. But some council members worry the streets' names will remain as they are without council oversight. City Council may elect to hold a virtual public hearing before they vote on the policy. Several bills passed in the Virginia General Assembly could mean important changes to elections if the governor signs them into law. Brendan Ponton has the details.
And it goes, and during the 2020 election, Virginia lawmakers made several big changes for voting, including adding no excuse absentee voting. And now in 2021, there's more changes lawmakers have signed off on.
As we've been doing since we've been in charge, we made voting a lot easier.
Virginia Beach Democratic Delegate Alex Askew says bills like allowing absentee voting on Sundays and expanded curbside voting will make things easier for people to vote. But there are also big changes to how people are elected. In Virginia Beach, a bill passed in the General Assembly would change the way the city elects school board and city council members. Currently, all voters in the city can vote for all members, but this bill would say only voters living in specific districts could vote for the 7 members who represent geographic districts.
Before, we didn't have a direct ward system, and now we have the opportunity to do that. So any disenfranchisement is going to be out the window.
But Republican Virginia Beach delegate Jason Miyares says the voters should have had a say through a referendum.
The reality is they decided we don't care about what Virginia Beach voters want. We're just going to inform you what you want.
Another bill would move local elections in several local cities from May to November. This map shows the localities impacted, including several on the peninsula and south side. Supporters say it would help increase turnout for local races by having them match up with federal elections, but Miyares doesn't think the state should tell the cities what to do.
I just don't think it's appropriate to have politicians in Richmond dictating to localities when they have their elections. Let them make that decision whether they move it to May or November.
News 3 political analyst Dr. Eric Claville says Virginia is doing the opposite of what many other states are doing following the 2020 election when some questioned election security.
We see in Virginia, the first state in the traditional South, trending in a direction that is more progressive.
And for all of these changes to happen, Governor Northam has to agree.
The statewide changes come as Rockbridge County relocates 2 of its polling stations. On February 22nd, the County Board approved a proposal to move the Effinger and Collierstown voting precincts out of the Effinger Volunteer Fire Department. Voters in the Effinger precinct will now report to a local community center, and Collierstown voters will vote at the board office for Rockbridge County Schools. In Glassclaw, Virginia, residents are worried about dangerous curves on Tinkerville Road. John Repair, the owner of Rainbow Ridge Farms, says speeding cars have crashed into his fields and big tractor trailers have gotten stuck and trapped him on the road. He has asked the Rockbridge County Board of Supervisors to lower the speed limit and add more warning signs. To do that, the board would need to work with the Virginia Department of Transportation. A VDOT spokesman says officials are starting to study the speed of traffic on the road. Coming up next on the Rockbridge Report, Washington and Lee University housing starts to crumble. We'll tell you why students are frustrated and what they intend to do about it. And our West Virginia neighbors are facing some rough weather this week. We'll show you the hazard that's keeping them off or stuck on the roads.
It appears spring is marching in, but will these temperatures hold up? I'm Andrew Arnold, and more of what you can expect in my weather forecast coming up.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Lily Mott. Some at Virginia Commonwealth University are calling for justice after a student was found dead over the weekend. Jake Burns has details.
If you don't want to be around it, you won't be. If you do want to be around it, it surrounds you.
VCU sophomore Haley Caldwell left Greek life on campus.
Personal things in my own life where I wasn't able to get the full experience.
She's seen the good it can bring students, but her focus Monday, the death of freshman Adam Oakes.
There's a lot of people who are very sad at his death. There's a lot of people who are very angry.
He just had such a big heart, you know?
Oakes' family says he was extended a bid to join that Delta Chi fraternity.
He only wanted to be accepted, and he wanted to be friends with people.
At a Friday night chapter event on Clay Street, Oakes' family says they were told he was given large amounts of alcohol and at some point was blindfolded and hit his head on a tree.
This is just what the boys there said. He passed out on the couch on his side, and they checked on him at midnight. He was breathing. The next morning, they checked on him, and he was face down on the couch. With when they rolled him over, half of his face was purple. Just because 2018, they tried to put a ban on hazing, fraternities and sororities are manipulating the system.
VCU and Richmond police are investigating and have not confirmed specific details of Oakes' death. The Delta Chi chapter of VCU has been suspended, and their house appeared empty Monday. The national headquarters saying in a statement they're devastated for Oakes' loved ones and urging members of VCU to cooperate with the investigation.
There was a situation in which a freshman died at a party, and how do we know that that won't happen again?
Caldwell, now focused on honoring Oakes, a fellow Ram she never got to meet.
He does not deserve to have lost the chance of knowing VCU for the love that we can give.
A virtual memorial service was held Wednesday night on Zoom. A physical memorial for Oakes is also being planned. An incident in a place that houses non-Greeks at Washington and Lee University has raised concerns about what some say are disparities in Greek and non-Greek housing. A drop ceiling collapsed last week in the university's Nuestro Hogar Latino, a themed house that frequently hosts sophomore students who are not members of fraternities or sororities. Student Angie Gallegos was in the room when the ceiling fell. The situation raises questions about disparities between Greek and non-Greek housing, which independent students believe is neglected. The university's Latinx student organization has started a petition demanding accountability for the collapse. Two recent graduates of Rockbridge County High School spoke at an Educators of Color panel put on by the Rockbridge Regional Library last week. Hallie Klein and Byron Winchester said Black teachers won't work in Rockbridge because of the lack of diversity in Lexington and in the curriculum. The panel was the last of 3 hosted by the library during Black History Month. Coming up next on the Rockbridge Report. The sun is shining in Buena Vista this afternoon, and the good weather will carry through the weekend. Andrew Arnold will bring you the 5-day forecast. And later, Sean Lee tells you about an aging quarterback who has willingly reduced his pay. Don't go away. We'll be back in just 2 minutes.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Andrew Arnold. Our neighbors in West Virginia are battling murky waters this week. The Ohio River is overflowing and residents face blocked roads. Bob Aaron reports.
The National Weather Service warns turn around, don't drown. Most flood deaths occur in vehicles. It was too late for one car's driver to worry if insurance covers wake damage. There was no shortage of people willing to chance it on busy West Virginia 2 in Mason County as the Ohio River flooded and only minutes after state troopers stopped blocking the highway. A kayaker in the flooded farm field next to the road should have been a warning. This SUV finally made it after stalling out halfway. The people inside said they were almost out of gas and decided to chance a crossing.
We didn't want to risk going back that way because all the gas stations are closed. So we thought we'd risk it, and we got stuck right in the middle. I didn't think we were going to make it.
I had to let it sit for a little bit.
Ohio State Road 7, the other main north-south route, was closed in Gallia County with everything from deep water to mud puddles, ice storm debris, and even construction pipes that floated onto the road blocking travel. Side roads had people taking to boats in the backwater. Sometimes where the river meets the road and the rubber meets the road is the same place, and that can spell trouble.
It's flooded. It's pretty deep. Normally it's really not this bad. I mean, when it floods and people drive past the signs, they're just kind of endangering themselves, but I mean, I love living here. I wouldn't move for nothing.
Others agree that means repeat flooding for parts of Point Pleasant, backwater flooding in nearby Henderson, and water lapping Main Street in Pomeroy, Ohio. That water is moving with tremendous force, and millions of gallons of it are sending troubles this part of the Ohio River Valley faced downstream to others.
Where you can see all the clear skies we've been looking at all day today. It's been a beautiful day here in Lexington with a high of 58, low of 27, and barometric pressure sitting at 29 and 96/100 inches of mercury. Very windy today with wind speeds moving up to 16 miles an hour, and humidity sitting around 24%. Across the state today, we saw lots of clear skies, but moving into the western part, there were some clouds around Covington. These clouds led to partly cloudy skies and a relatively lower temperature of 55 degrees. Down in Roanoke, a little warmer, 61 and sunny. And as you can see across the rest of the state here, all sunny skies. In Lexington, it's currently 59. Buena Vista is seeing 60 degrees. Down in Lynchburg, 61. And up in Stanton, a little cooler, 54. And in the east, Charlottesville, 60 degrees is there. Temperatures are going to be cooling down, unfortunately, a little bit this weekend. On Friday, we'll be seeing some sunny skies with a high of 47, low of 29. On Saturday, still keeping with those cooler temperatures, high of 48, low of 28 with some partly cloudy skies. And on Sunday, the last day of those cold temperatures, high of 49, low of 23. Luckily, moving into Monday and Tuesday, things will be heating up a bit more with a high of 58, low of 29, high of 66, low of 35 on Tuesday, and partly cloudy skies for both those days. That's all for weather. Get out there, enjoy this weather while it lasts, and have a great day.
Next on the Rockbridge Report, WNL women's basketball heads into postseason play. I'll have the preview. And SVU takes its commercial music program to new heights with the famous singer-songwriter on staff. All that and more next on the Rockbridge Report. Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Sean Lee, and it's time to talk sports. After some speculation of a possible retirement, the 39-year-old Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger willingly reduced his pay to $14 million from $19 million in this final year of his contract and spread the cash payment through 2022. Roethlisberger, the two-time Super Bowl champion, is now the final quarterback remaining from the 2003 draft class, as he is now signed through his age 40 season. And fresh off of a state championship win in basketball, the Perry McClure Fighting Blues start their football season this weekend. They will host Narrows High School on Saturday at 1 p.m. for their first game of the season. Last season, they defeated Narrows to advance to the regional championship in the state tournament. And this weekend, the Washington & Lee men's and women's swimming team will conclude their season as they participate in a 4-day time trial event. The Washington & Lee men's basketball season is over, but the women's team, with their 3-1 ODAC record, competes in the ODAC championship on Saturday. And the men's and women's golf teams will head down to Lynchburg this weekend for their first event of the year at the Hill City Invitational. And the University of Virginia men's basketball team bounced back Monday night with a 62-51 victory over the University of Miami. Senior transfer Sam Hauser led the way with 18 points, and the 21st ranked Cavaliers ended a 3-game skid by handing Miami its 6th loss in a row. Up next for both teams, Miami is at home against Boston College on Friday, and Virginia completes the regular season at Louisville on Saturday. Well, that's all for sports, but reporter Avalon Purnell is live across the county at another college, where the buzz on campus is the planned arrival next fall of a big-time singer-songwriter to teach aspiring composers. Avalon?
Thanks, Sean. I'm here currently at Southern Virginia University, where a new face will be joining its commercial music program this fall.
Singer-songwriter Jason Deere will be teaching classes at Southern Virginia University's commercial music program this fall. The award-winning musician has written hits for Shadazy, Leanne Rimes, Jessica Simpson, and many more. Now he wants to share his experiences in the music business with the next generation of singer-songwriters.
It's really about young people, teaching something that I know and then watching them do things that I never dreamed of.
He says he is excited to become an artist in residence at SVU because record labels don't focus on artist development much anymore. He says today, young artists' success depends on what they learn in college.
The development of talent is kind of missing unless it happens in education.
He plans to share lessons he learned to help students understand how record labels operate.
The way the music business has changed is that you're really valuable once you've already had a hit. That's when somebody wants to employ you or help you, is when you've already done it.
He says SVU's liberal arts approach to music can inspire creativity in students to write great songs.
It's likely that no one will ever ask you the question on an exam, what does it feel like to hear this lyric laid over this chord progression? And guess what? That's the only thing that'll make somebody pull over the car on the side of the road so they don't wreck and download that song.
SVU student Ellie Simpson says she can't wait to hear his feedback on her work.
Just watching him write songs for people still will be super interesting because we'll get to see it live in action. Okay, well, this is how he writes all his big songs.
Deere says outside of music, he is excited to bring his Labrador Maya to the great outdoors of Buena Vista. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Avalon Purnell. Back to you guys.
Bridge Report. I'm Carly Snyder. Join us on Tuesday at 3:30 for our live news update. And check out rockbridgereport.wlu.edu for more national, state, and local news.